Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Time for Art Oktoberfest swap. How is everybody today? Hopefully everybody's good and you've been enjoying all the swap guests this morning. Hi, Alyssa, Deborah, Candy, Mitz, I saw was here. Juanita, hi, Linda. Jacqueline, I'm going to have to ask you to leave because you're not old enough to be here. I'm sorry. Do I have any mods here? Let me see if I have some mods. I'm going to, hey, Jersey. Jersey, just so you know, Jacqueline is underage. She was at Brooks last night and she's really not old enough to be here. So if you could boot her out. I'm sorry, Jacqueline, but it's the Yahoo rules. All righty, so how is everyone? I'm going to be working on an art journal page background for fall. A couple weeks ago, I was streaming with Colleen, and Kathy Arbor showed me a technique using pan pastels. I think you could also use regular pastels. You put pan pastels, and then you go over it with gesso. So that kind of seals everything, and then you can work on top of it. So I used it as a tag, and I ended up, you can see here, this is the pan pastel with the gesso over it, and then I was able to paint, use oil pastel, wax paste, all kinds of stuff on top. So I'm going to try that again, and hopefully it's going to work out. And there's Kathy Arbor. Morning, Eileen. Hi, Kimberly. Cheryl. Hi, Janet. Okay, so let's get started. I've got my pan pastels out, some fall colors. And I found this stencil. I think it's a Stencil Girl stencil, and it kind of looks Oktoberfest, German, fallish. It has some leaves on it. I also pulled out a few other stencils with leaves. Morning, Meri. Okay, so I'm going to put some of these on top. These will go on top. This is what I had originally done for my background. So I may do some of this with some leaves for the background. Maybe a couple of these. This is a stencil I made. So we're just going to play. And I think instead of using gesso, I'm going to use the Tim Holtz Collage medium just to give it a more of a warm feeling. So it's not just white. If you don't have the Distress Collage medium, you can add ink or any kind of color to your gesso to give it that warm, like beigey brown hue to it. So let's get started. I'll put down a stencil and we'll get started. I think what I'm going to try to do, I think I might put maybe put a few of the smaller leaves down, because I don't know if I get too much of the pan pastel going, if it's all going to wash out. We'll have to see. But we're just going to play today, and hopefully we'll end up with a pretty fall background. Okay, you're interested about this medium. What's it do? Which medium? The Distress Collage medium? It's like a matte medium that has a tint to it. Yeah, it's by Tim Holtz, so it's a matte medium with a tint, basically. So it's good for gluing down. It's good to put over if you're collaging and you want to give it an aged look. It'll give it like that vintagey look. So I thought we'd try this. Like I said, the last time I used the gesso, I used white gesso. And this is what I ended up with, which I thought was really pretty. Hopefully this isn't too washed out for you. But I thought I had this. I thought I'd try it and see what happens. And this will seal the pan pastels underneath. And when I drag this through the leaves, the pan pastels are going to spread a little bit. So it'll bring color back into this. So we're just going to play and see what happens. Can you add a color to the regular collage medium? Yes, you can. You can add walnut stain. You could put a couple drops of acrylic ink. And oh, good, Kathy's here. So if I'm missing anything, she can remind me. But I was really happy with how this turned out, and I thought it would make a really pretty background page. So if you don't have pan pastels, you can try it with regular pastels. So it might you might get a little more spreading with the regular pastels, but just play with it, see what happens. Thanks, Beck. She said this medium is designed for gluing, layering, and sealing mixed media projects. Dries semi-translucent with vintage tinted matte finish. Vintage distress collage medium. Thank you. Okay. Ooh, well, yes, walnut stain would be cool mixed in with gesso and matte medium and stuff like that. It would give it a really cool patina, I think. So, all right, I am going to get started. So I'm going to take a couple of the smaller leaves and, oh, got some tape stuck to there. That's not good. All right, so I'm just going to use some fall colors. And then let's see, let's pick up some, let's start with some of the lighter ones first. So here we've got our leaves. So let's do, I'm going to use a few different stencils. So let's do just some leaves here and there. And I'm going to kind of mix up the colors, use lights and darks, just to make the colors of the leaves a little bit interesting so they look more real. Maybe put a little bit dark here. Let's do this little one that's off the page here. Welcome to everybody. Thanks for coming. This has been so much fun every month, just learning all the different techniques and seeing how everybody else does stuff. Maybe let's get some red in here just to brighten it up a bit. Just like tiny bits. All right, so here we've got some leaves. Let's see. Maybe we will do some of the big leaves. Maybe we'll do all this one with all the leaves since they're turning out pretty good. And just rub your pastels through your stencil. Use different colors to give it some depth, make them look interesting. Let's do rusty here. Ooh, look at that. That's pretty. Hey, Nash. Kilburn. Hi, Pin. Okay. And then mix up your colors. And let's do a little dark one over here. You can have your leaves going off the edges. And I'm just dipping my mat in all the different pan pastels. You can't really contaminate them because if you get color on top, you can just wipe it off. And the pan pastels are just like never ending. I've had these for years and it looks like I've barely used them, which is always put a little some green in here and see what happens there. That makes it look pretty fallish. And then just keep going over your leaves till you're happy with how they look. So we've got these. Let's see. Let's do one right in the middle, over the middle of the page to kind of make it flow so it looks like you're working on one sheet of paper. Yeah, if you don't have the pan pastels, try your regular pastels and see what happens. And they're just fun to play with. And then, like I said, once we put the collage medium over it, it'll be sealed, so you'll be able to work on top of it. All right, let's put some leaves over here. I know, I don't know if I had tried them with stencils before, but it was great when Kathy Arbor told, it was like a light bulb went on. I'm like, yeah, why wouldn't you use them with stencils? And here, and even, I mean, just like this, they look pretty on the page. It just gives a softness to the edges of the stencil, which is really kind of cool. Like I said, just layer them with all different colors. Give it some interest. Let's do another one over here. Did you say you cut the stencil leaf? Okay, this is, I designed the stencil. I have a pastels, which is similar to like a cameo and silhouette and that. So I designed the stencil with I think I found a leaf silhouette that I put into the program, and all I did was copy it and then made it different sizes, placed it where I wanted on the stencil, and then the machine cut it out for me. So yeah, so if you guys, anybody who has a cameo or silhouette, any of those machines, with some clip art, you should be able to design your own stencils. It's not as hard as you might think. It's actually pretty easy. All right, let's get a little one here. Get some orange. Yeah, you just look, I'll Google, like, I probably Googled leaf clip art. You look for free leaf clip art, and then you just copy and paste into your pastels program, and then that gives you the ability to place the stencils where you want on your page, and then you cut them out. It's kind of fun. You could draw round leaves. You could do any kind of leaves. Ginkgo leaves. I saw a die cut yesterday for ginkgo leaves, which I was tempted, but then I thought, well, I could find a ginkgo leaf online. So I might have a ginkgo stencil to use, hopefully sometime in the future. Okay, so I don't want to get things too close together because the pan pastels are going to spread. I want to get this leaf a little more leafy looking. Hold on. There. Ooh, that's kind of cool. And then you can, I'm not going to do it here, but if you were just if you just wanted to just have a whole bunch of leaves on your background, you could layer them and see how you'd see the ones from underneath. But for what I'm doing now, I don't want them layered. I kind of want them separated. All right, so that looks like a good amount of leaves. I'm just going to kind of blow off the excess a little bit. All right, so now let me put some paper behind. I'm trying to think. So besides regular pastels, I know there's people have gotten makeup, like eyeshadow kits, where you get a whole bunch of different eyeshadow colors, and then you've used that to art with. So you could probably do something with that too. Okay, Beck said, look up Pinktree for all sorts of clip art. Oh, thanks, Beck. All right, so now, all right, here's the tricky part. All right, we're going to get the Distress Collage, and this is going to seal the pan pastels underneath, and then hopefully, all right, I'm going to use a damp brush because I don't want it to go on too thick. So I'm going to take a damp brush. I'm just going to dip it in here and then just start at the corner to see what the color looks like. That might be too damp. Let's see. Let's start with... here. Let's start with this. Okay, so it doesn't need to be a damp brush. Just take a small amount and put it on. And the important thing is to go straight up and down, which I found out when I first tried this with Kathy. If you go side to side, you're going to mess up whatever you have on here. But if you go straight up and down, you'll still be able to see the image underneath. So we're going to start here, and we're just going to kind of drag it through. There. Drag it through and go straight up and down. And as you go, pull it lightly through, and then some of the pastels on the leaves are going to drag through to the background and just give it a really pretty color. And then as you do this, you're sealing those pastels down, and you're going to be able to work on top of it. Oh, thanks, Mary. All right, so remember, straight up and down, and just kind of pull it through, and let the color pull through with your brush. And see how pretty that is? You get a variance of color in between. And then if you press a little harder, more color comes through. If you don't want a lot of color, just press really light. All right. Okay, so this one's really going to drag a lot of color through because I put a lot of color. There's a lot of color. Let's see how that drags the color through. So you can have it as light or as dark as you want. But it just gives it a nice fall background. And then just keep going over it till you get the color that you want for your background. If you want it lighter, if you want it darker, more warm, put some more of the Distress Collage on here. But yeah, like I said, if you don't have the Distress Collage, you can use your white gesso or matte medium. Add some walnut stain, walnut ink, acrylic paint, and you'll get the same effect. Make sure you get your... Okay, so now These are all sealed. You can see that the color is not dragging through. Okay, so here's a question. At the last hop, Helen wrote down a note, get out a dehydrator. Does anyone know why she wrote that down? Do you remember whose stream was it on? Was it on my stream, Helen? I wonder if we were thinking of if we could dry out our leaves and flowers in a dehydrator. Is that possible? Okay. So I'm going to hit this with a heat gun. Make sure it's nice and dry, but now all the pan pastel is sealed underneath the collage medium. So I'll hit this with the heat gun. Okay, Teresa said she runs through her leaves through the big shot and then lets them dry. Then they get nice and flat doing that too. Kimberly says, were you craving beef jerky? Ellie wants to know if someone asked Helen if she was full of hot air. Kathy uses Krylon fixative over her pastels. Yeah, and then Teresa, you do that onto cardstock or paper, and then you get a nice print on the paper too when you're doing that. Yeah, how do they keep their color, Teresa? Okay. Okay, so hopefully this is actually, let me put this up close so you can see how those colors blended in there. See how you still see the leaf print, but there's a little bit of color pulling through the distress medium or the collage medium. So yeah, and instead of like if I use the white gesso, everything would be white. But and then I added a lot of color to it to get it this dark. But I thought, what if I start with this? It'll give it a darker patina already. Okay, so now let's see, what time is it? 9:42. Okay, now I'm going to take my stencil. Where's this one? Now I can take my stencil and then I can work over my leaves and they won't get they won't smear. Weekend this morning. Okay, so I'm going to I want to use a thicker paint through the stencil just so it pops up from the page a little bit, not a whole lot. I don't want to use like a paste or anything, but I want it to be a little bit thick because when I'm done, I'm going to put some of the vintage stamparia paste over it to darken it. Let's just put some of this out on my desk. And then I can just dip into here. Okay. And then when you're using a makeup wedge with your stencil, make sure you go straight up and down so you're not rubbing anything through on the sides of the stencil. Try to keep it straight up and down and you end up with a better print. Okay. Oh, dried mango. I love dried mango too. Trying to catch chat while I'm... Oh, thanks, Val. Yeah, I like the softness that it gives with the pan pastels with the medium brushing through it. Just kind of softens them a bit. Okay, we got about 5 minutes, so that should give me enough time to hit this with the heat gun and put the paste over it like I wanted to. I got all that, hopefully. All right, so let's lift this up. So that gives you a impression. For some reason, that just looks kind of Oktoberfest to me, kind of German and Oktoberfest-ish. So I'm going to hit this with the heat gun really quick, and then I'm going to put some of the stamparia antique paste over that to just give it to tone it down a little bit. Let's see. Mary wants to know, Kathy Arbor, do you think a marigold would work through the big shot? Probably. She's used some pretty thick flowers. Okay, so let's see. All right, that's pretty dry. In this Sennelier, it's not a heavy body, it's just a student grade, but it's just, I can feel it a little bit on top of the page. That's kind of what I wanted, just a little bit thicker paint. Okay, and so now we're going to go back. I'm going to put the stencil back on top, kind of line it up. And then I'm going to take my, all right, I'm going to take my Stamparia vintage antiquing paste. And you could probably do this with any other kind of paste. You could probably do it with a watered down acrylic. And I'm going to brush some off so it's not too dark. Here, let me show you. I just kind of brush some off here so it's not too dark. And then I'm going to lightly, make sure my stencil's all lined up. And I'm just going to lightly go over the top just to kind of warm it up a little bit. It'll kind of warm it up. It'll give it a little bit of an outline. And then I go back over to where I wiped it off to pick some more up again. Just lightly, and then once the paste starts wearing off, then you can really press down into the stencil and just get off as much as you can before you have to reload again. So let me just put a little bit more, brush it off so it's not too dark, and then finish up. See, if you have too much on there, it kind of gets really dark. Okay, and then that's our fall background paste. That gives it just a little bit of depth, warms up the yellow a bit, and your page is all ready to, if you want a collage on top, if you want to, I think what I might do is just find a quote that I like and write it through the rest of the background. but everything's all, that pan pastel's all sealed down, so you can work on top of it. You can glue, you can paint, you can do whatever you like. So yes, I have to thank Kathy Arbor. She's the one who showed me that technique. And then I just kind of played a little bit with it and used the distress medium, the distress collage medium, and it just kind of warmed it up a little bit. Oh, thanks, Kimberly. Yeah, it does look like a napkin. I could be a napkin designer. Okay. Yes. Oh yeah, if use an old or very inexpensive brush. I try to keep one brush that I use for the vintage paste. I have one cheap brush that I use for the vintage paste. I rinse it off, let it dry, and I keep that to the side, and I try to use that, just one. But today I took out a clean one because I wasn't thinking. But then I could go around. So you could go around and put more, you know, I could go around now and do this with more leaves. Let me get some paint on my, so I could put, you know, some more leaves on here now. You know, and go on top of some of the other leaves I had. Maybe put one on, you know, kind of on here. And just kind of layer. That's what I might do. I think what I may do to finish this off is just layer it with some more different leaves and different colors. And then maybe do some writing on top. Find a good fall quote. And then just write on part of it. So, but yeah, find your stuff and just play. Okay. Well, thanks everybody. It's 10 to 10. So thanks for being here. And don't forget, what time does the hop start later today, Meri? The second half of the hop? What time does it start? Hey, Peggy. I don't know if I said hi to you earlier. I saw you come in. And if you go down into my description, you'll see the times, and there's a link to everybody who's been in the hop. So you can either go back and watch the ones from this morning or get ready for tonight. And Colleen and I will be coming on at 10 o'clock. Helen just posted the link. I think we'll be doing some Halloween and fall stuff. You never know what we'll be doing. So hope you guys can watch. And thanks a lot. Stop back tonight. Watch the rest of the hop. There's lots of fun techniques. And thank you, Meri, so much for hosting this. This has been so fun every week doing these. Oh, you're welcome, Tam. You guys, thanks for being here. And enjoy your weekend. Bye, guys. See you later.